What's up, IT friends? Happy Tuesday. It is, of course, in the US, 4th of July week. I am attempting to be patriotic, but on brand for ocean stuff. Anyways, I saw a post on Reddit this morning that the more I think about, the more I wanted to make a quick video about. Um, I've seen posts like this before, and so normally I would say nothing exceptional. Basically, it's a premise where somebody is asking the question, how many of your clients are hourly only? And they're using that question as a vehicle to basically justify having half their client base be break fix and how they should race to the bottom on pricing to offer something to the break fix clients to try and address 100% of the market. And we've seen posts like this before. It's pretty common to see with relatively new or struggling MSPs. What was different about this post, what stuck in my brain, this wasn't some idealistic MSP owner. This wasn't some jaded owner that had been running this model for 15 years and couldn't grow and was mad at the world. This was an employee. And I say this slightly derisively, but stick with me, you'll see where I'm going. This was just a regular employee, like small MSP technician, not executive level employee, who posted this. And what they were basically trying to ask the community is they felt that the way that the services were being priced for the break fix clients was wrong, and they wanted to try to articulate this to their management, to the owner of the business, to make it right. And I really liked that because don't get me wrong, everything that this person was saying in their post was patently bad. It was the wrong direction. It's the wrong business advice, whether it's an MSP or not. Everything about it was wrong. However, one of the challenges that we have in this space, that is a challenge that pretty much any complex SMB has, we don't have a lot of employee level people that have a wherewithal for how the business runs, but yet don't want to run the business directly themselves, i.e., operations people. And I'll tell you what this post was. This post is a future operations professional who doesn't know it yet. And so I wanted to talk a little bit today to all the employees out there that disagree with an element from a business standpoint of how their MSP is being run, but don't really know what to do next. And I'm using the original poster here as sort of the spirit animal for all those people. But the short version is probably most of you are wrong about why the business problem that you've identified is happening, and you're probably also mostly wrong about how to fix it, but you're not wrong in spotting it, and you're not wrong in thinking, hey, something here doesn't make sense and it needs fixing, I should speak up. You're very, very, very much right in having that mindset. And my goal would be to help all of you have a little bit more of an idea of what to do with that energy so that you can start that journey towards becoming that business leader from the inside that so many MSPs desperately need. So to get specific here, in this particular post, they use an RMM, and they fully include their RMM for their managed customers, as is pretty standard and has been for a number of decades. But for their non-managed hourly customers or break fix customers, they sell them the RMN for $15 a device a month. And the employee is basically saying the techs understand why, in that they want to encourage the MSP to prioritize fully managed customers, which is kind of correct. This is what I'm talking about. That's kind of correct, but not the right interpretation. But they still have plenty of customers who are hourly, And this person says you can't force everyone into a managed services agreement. Ooh. See? Right identification problem, wrong reasoning. And then they go on to say they feel it's entirely common for an MSP to have a mix of managed service customers and customers that are hourly only, which most of us, we've been here for a while, know that, well, that's not an accurate statement. And that we shouldn't gatekeep our hourly customers from receiving better support by making it cost prohibitive of them to have a simple RMM client. Yes, you should. That's exactly what you should do. But once again, right problem is being identified. Completely wrong prescription and treatment being offered. And they then go on to posit that the owners, I'm sure, only see it as making up for the loss in billable hours by making our work more efficient. But it's hard to sell this to customers on the idea it will mean less billable hours. So, and they kind of finish this off by saying, I don't know what to do. So I have a number of thoughts, both on the specific situation and the logic that led here. But the first thing that I really want to compliment this poster on, and every other employee at every MSP everywhere that feels as though something's not right, I think it was important that this person said, I know something needs to be done, but I don't know what to do. That little candlelight of a, hey, this business could be better, that's super rare. In the self-awareness at the end of this to realize that, well, I think I have a proposed way to solve this, which you're wrong about, I don't know what to do with it. And it's that difference of self-awareness between, I'm pretty sure I'm right, and I don't know what to do with that, versus I'm pretty sure I'm right, so I'm just going to burn the place down. That's the difference between somebody who's just a self-righteous sysadmin jackass and an amazing operations person in the making. And so I give this person quite a bit of credit for having that mentality, and all the MSP employees out there that recognize that something seems off about the business that they don't understand, and they think something should be done, but they're not sure what to do about it. My friends, good for you. There's not as many of you in this space as we need. And I think that just needs to be said over and over and over again, that while I'm absolutely going to crap a little bit on this person's thinking, the fact that they had these thoughts, that's a big deal. And if you find yourself in that position, I think the most important thing you can do is you need to learn more about the business. And I say that because what's likely, and I can tell from this person's commentary, they haven't been in this industry for very long, and they haven't been exposed to a lot of other MSPs. And even the content they have consumed on our MSP has clearly only been content they felt reflected the business they were in, because they already have a very warped perspective about what the industry looks like. The biggest thing you're going to have to do if you are this type of person at your MSP is kind of self-realize that what you know in your corner of your MSP probably isn't representative of what the rest of us are doing, should be doing, or shouldn't be doing. And identifying early on that whoever started your company is probably very smart and capable, but they also don't know everything is super important to your learning journey. And I think the easiest way to do that, and I'm sorry, employees, because I know you all work very hard, is go pick up a book. I would suggest a basic one like Package Price Profit by Nigel Moore. Like something very simple that just explains sort of a very general, pretty safe, pretty PG version of how the model works. Not saying that that book is completely correct or understands every nuance, or that book's going to work for every MSP at every size, but something like that is probably a pretty good starting point, because having some general context on how this industry works, not just your theories on how it works. And like in the case of this poster has a lot of theories on how they think it works, and their theories are actually mostly incorrect, but totally reasonable to arrive at if you don't know that. And so having some sort of agnostic MSP pricing Bible like that, I think is really helpful. Managed services in a month is another one. I'm not advocating that you're going to read these books so you can go learn how to start your own MSP. I'm simply saying that it will open your eyes a little bit to if you want to think of this as a game, that's a manual for the game someone wrote. And it's good to read it because the awareness of those rules will help you better understand where your MSP is or isn't meeting those rules. And then you can start asking more critically founded questions to the owners of your business about why, rather than making statements like this poster that are likely to get written off. I think another thing to remember as well, we see a lot from, I used to see this a lot at my MSP. A lot of employees know their center of excellence reasonably well. And for most newer employees who are newer to the industry, that is personal computing and sort of like prosumer level home labbing. And the big thing that is important to learn is the same lesson that pretty much any hobbyist, any experienced hobbyist who moves over to a professional version of their hobby has to learn. It's not about it's about running a business first and all the other elements of the hobby you enjoy second. And I'm once again not offering this up to the employee level person because I expect them to run a business. I think that awareness is very important to have. And you'll find that you can trick yourself into the wrong understanding of a business problem if you think of it from the enthusiast or the hobbyist perspective too often. Just cutting in here real quick. This is Editor Dean. I wanted to give an example of this that I think is a really helpful one. So, number of years ago, when SSDs started coming out, enterprise class SSDs started coming out with server builds. I had an employee at the time who was a smart hobbyist, home PC user, and he made the observations. These enterprise SSDs back then easily cost $1,000 per drive for something that a consumer version of that SSD would be like $200. And so this guy had kind of made this point that why are we charging clients, $5,000-$6,000 to have a RAID array of these enterprise SSDs when they're just SSDs, they don't have any mechanical parts, and consumer SSDs are just fine. And why aren't we using those? And looking at it from a standpoint of from his mindset, the consumer SSDs had equal, if in fact not superior, performance from just a drag racing standpoint, and they had the same connectors on the back and were very widely available. Like, surely we're doing something here that is not in the best interest of the client. It's that kind of thinking. And from where he's sitting, that all makes reasonable sense, except what you're forgetting is at home on my computer, if I probably first of all don't have a RAID, but at home on my computer, let's say I do have a RAID, if an SSD fails, well, there's probably not a lot of data that, if isn't backed up and available, will actively cause me every minute to lose money. There is for the business client. I'm probably, as a home user, not going to sue myself because that drive died. I might as a business client. And most importantly, you're hand waving away the fact that, well, what would I do? I would go on Amazon or go to Micro Center or Best Buy, go buy another drive, come back home, take apart my computer, use my drive cloning software, clone the drive over, pop it in, and then there we go, we're recovered. And that might take me a few hours, that might take me 45 minutes, that might take me a day, whatever your skill set is. But we tend to hand wave all of that away because it's our computer at home. And that entire time, that's billable time that I have to charge someone for, and it's downtime that they're losing revenue and wages on. So that's why. And you don't think that way normally as a very intelligent hobbyist consumer, because why would I? It'd be ridiculous to think that way, but you do have to think that way when you're at the business. And it's a very silly example, but it's a very good example of how this thinking can happen, even on things as simple as a hard drive. And it's why when he offered up that we should just use prosumer drives, the room erupted in laughter. And the poor guy felt humiliated. And I know a lot of you are going to hear that and be like, well, Dean, I don't do that. But like, I almost guarantee I can prove you do, because everyone does. So just having that awareness, and anytime you're looking at a business problem at your MSP, and what this person identified was a business problem, right? They felt that they were pricing inappropriately a tool and service for a certain segment of their customer base. That's a business problem. And I don't think they're wrong in identifying that problem. But anytime you identify a problem like that, you then want to take a step back and say, am I viewing this through the lens of the business entity I am a part of? Or am I viewing this through the lens of me, the individual hobbyist, enthusiast consumer that would do it differently if it was my own stuff or my family's stuff? And we call that a lot in sales, selling out of your own pocket. It's where you place your value system on someone else. That's very common as an employee in a small business, where you place your value system on the business and you kind of assume that the business must have the same value proposition you would as an individual. And that's usually not the case. So I'm not saying that you're going to get this right. Just try to be aware of it. And if you see yourself doing that, just mentally try to call that out and just sort of be, I think I'm filtering this problem through my lens, not the business's lens. Because if you get in the habit of doing that, and this could take a while, you'll just start to notice that you'll think differently, not only about problems, but also about how you want to articulate the solutions to them. You may still arrive at the same solution, and it may still be the right or wrong solution, but I think you'll just find it'll change your perspective on how you present that data and organize it in your brain. I want to round this out with some examples. So when I first started in my career, I joined an MSP that I've talked about this in other things was successful but struggling. They were paying their bills, but they just couldn't get out of their own way. And there were a lot of small non-business critical or business strategy related things that I solved first. And that was a better path. And that's a suggestion I would just generally make from my own experience to somebody who's in this position currently. Assume for the time being that the captain of the ship knows how to pilot the ship and has selected an appropriate course and has stocked the rations and has the right sale, all that shit. Just assume all of that is correct. I know it's not, but just assume it is. That's not within your wheelhouse right now. Start at a smaller level and look for small, ideally free, inefficiencies and tactical missteps that you can have an impact on right now. And an example I saw of this when I first joined my MSP with very little experience in business or MSP itself, the techs at this MSP would stage product to go on site, and they would save up. If a particular client ordered a laptop, also needed a new UniFi access point, and maybe needed some cabling, they would wait, sometimes for months, until all of these various things came in, stage them until there was enough product, and then go on site. And I looked at that right away and I was like, that makes no sense. I can fix that. And we went ahead and addressed that and made sure that we were properly scheduling and moving on-site tickets out as things came in a reasonable manner. Because of course, if I keep waiting for enough product to come in, we're going to come up with new reasons to sell more product, and thus I will never be in a position to go on site. And that's exactly what was happening. And that was something where I could pretty easily identify that problem. It was a very small scope. pretty much the scope of that problem was just the technical employees. I came up with a pretty reasonable solution to mitigate that, brought it up to the leadership. I said, I've identified this problem. Here are the repercussions. This is what I think we could do to solve it. It won't cost you anything. I've talked to the team. The team has buy-in to that solution. Do I have your permission to implement it? And that is a really great methodology to get started with being more involved in fixing the business, because what you're going to find is as you go and fix those small tactical fires, the little trash can fire, the little popcorn bag on fires, is you're going to learn more about firefighting, and you're going to learn more about what led to each of those little tactical things happening. In most cases, it's just a gap in someone's judgment, but you're going to learn little bits. And if you combine that with, on the side, learning a little bit more about how the industry functions. In my case, I was fortunate enough to be sent to a peer group very early on. That is not typical. So that was my version of reading the book. Those two things together are very helpful kind of bumpers in your bowling alley, just to make sure that you're not going too far out of your lane in a way that won't be well received or approachable to other people in the business. You will. You are going to step out of your lane at some point and aggravate somebody, but this will hopefully limit that. And I didn't know everything about this business to begin with. No one does. So you got to learn through doing, and you have to learn through iteration, and you have to learn through asking questions, but most importantly, you have to learn through being humble and accepting the fact that you, my friend, have no idea what's going on. And even though from where you're sitting in your seat as an amazing technical team member, I guarantee you there's more to it going on than you're even aware of. You have to be humble and understand that, and not assume that you understand all the motivations and reasons for everything that's happening. If you get to that point, I guarantee you keep moving forward with this, it will not take very long until you become the single most indispensable reason that your MSP is growing and successful. You can build a career out of this. And if you get good enough at helping to improve the MSP you're at, in a very short amount of time, way shorter than your technical career, I would say probably like within 10 years of this, you can easily move up market if you want to a either corporate or big MSP job and be pulling well into the mid six figures, because there are not a lot of people that have that skill set. It's a faster career path than learning how to be a network admin or a sysadmin or getting your CCNA or all the other horse shit that all the other technical people are doing. You will become indispensable. Keep it up, my friends. We need more operations professionals. Have a great Tuesday.